at Crafty Hope and welcome. Today in this video I'm going to share with y'all how I use some of the double tack mounting film from Grafix Arts to make some, we're going to call it washi tape. Now washi tape is paper tape. Washi means paper in Japanese, but I am going to show you a fabric version along with two paper versions of how I made this. So, and at the end of the video I'm going to share with you how I've used some of this washi tape and where you can see how I did that. So let's get started. The double tack comes in sheets of 9 by 12, so I cut them in half so that they are 6 by 12, just to kind of keep this a little more concise and so I can make more, more different kinds. So the first thing I did is grab some fabric in my stash. This had been coffee dyed, I believe, and it's kind of a stiffer fabric. It's not too floppy, so I knew it would work a little bit better with this, though it's a thrifted fabric, so I can't quite tell you exactly what it is, unfortunately. So I'm beginning by altering it along with a plain sheet of white copy paper there with some stamping. I'm using Days on stamp and a script stamp. I also pulled out y'all, this is a bingo dauber from Dollar Tree that I am just splashing some dots over these two surfaces. I really liked working on the two surfaces at one time because I could alter them but still be just a little bit different. So from there I'm using acrylic paint and the eraser on a pencil to make additional dots. I'm just using some brown acrylic paint that was in my stash, and then the little bit that was left on my under paper there, I'm painting straight on to that copy paper just to give it a little bit of different color. So some of the spots that are on there in the same color are going to get a little washed out, but it's not a big deal. I'm going to use a couple different sprays. I think a Lindy's spray along with a Distress Oxide spray. I think I used the green and the blue sprays over just on the copy paper, but then I've got a Lindy's spray in copper. I think it's, I can't even remember. It's a copper Lindy's spray. I used it on both of them just to add some metallic, I think, over on that copy paper. And then I'm going to put watercolor on my copy paper to fill in some of the white spots. I wanted to make sure this was plenty colorful. That is going to bleed some of the things that are on there. You can see I did try to do it on the fabric and it wasn't going to work. So not with that fabric anyway. So I just kept at it on my copy paper, and I knew I was going to cut this down. So I wanted this as random as possible, kind of like you would a masterboard. So and I want to keep it fairly thin so it'd be easy to cut down. I did do some scribbles with a R2 blue pen on the copy paper. I did some stamping as well, I think off camera, but you can't really see the stamps on there. And then just using an empty, glue stick container and some black acrylic paint, I'm making some circles all over my copy paper. I'm also going to do some circles, not a whole lot, onto my fabric as well. You can see that there. And then because I felt like this fabric needed a little bit of white and brightening up, I am using a stencil I created with the Grafix matte stencil film and my laser cutter. I did that a while back and used some white acrylic paint threw it onto the fabric. So we're getting to where we're gonna create this into tape at some point, but I was having so much fun altering these surfaces. Once I get the white down onto the fabric, I'm going to realize I want some white also on my paper because it was also feeling pretty dark. So I've splattered some more of that white acrylic paint on there, just using a fan brush that's really watered down and acrylic paint and just splattering. Y'all, I got that splatter everywhere. I think it was all up my arms. It was everywhere. So definitely protect your surfaces if you're going to do this. From there, once everything was good and dry, I took my double tack mounting tape, and I'm just going to peel up one side of it, and I'm looking at my paper to kind of figure out where I wanted what had the most interesting elements on it basically, and I'm peeling that back off, kind of going slowly, making sure to push out any bubbles and get it stuck down. I will do pretty much, I'm going to trim the paper real quick while I can see where everything is. I'm going to trim the excess off of that, and then pretty much do the same thing over on my fabric. Peel up a little bit, make sure it's all lined up so that I'm not going to have anything coming over, like the stick isn't going to come over, and then yep, just peel it up like that. And so then I have these two sheets here actually, and I think I'm going to tear off the excess of this one. I'm going to trim a little bit off the side and tear it, and that's why I kind of wanted a stiffer fabric than something too floppy, because I knew it would tear better. From there, I'm going to make a scrappy tape, and I'm doing that by peeling up just a small section of the double tack mounting tape, and I pulled out my scrap paper box and I am sticking papers down. I'm starting with, some larger pieces here, knowing that I'm going to cut this down into strips. And sticking things down, so peeling up a little bit, sticking things down. I even stuck down this it's from some what is it called, hardware joint tape. It's the backer paper on it. It's got all these holes in it, so some of the stick is definitely going to be there. I'm funny about, I don't like things to be loose, so I'm definitely using my Oohoo glue stick to stick anything that's kind of flapping up. And I'm going to do my best to cover up as much of this, the sticky back of this, as I can to cover it up so there's nothing sticky. But if there is any of the sticky exposed, I'll show you how I'm going to, well, I'll go ahead and tell you. You'll see it in a minute. But you could use any number of things. You can use like glitter or an embossing powder. I would be very careful with that when you heat it, because sometimes that will make things unstick. I haven't really tried that with this double tack mounting tape, but what I'm going to use is flocking. So anything that's kind of loose that you can brush on and pull off, even if it's maybe sand, would be interesting. But something kind of loose that will fill in the gaps of the sticky stuff. So you can see I'm just working to cover as much as I could, and then I've got this little flocking set that I kind of knew where all of my exposed areas were, so I am sprinkling that over all of that. I think it gets kind of caught in there. Yeah, you can see I'm trying to like shake it out. I get some tweezers to kind of help loosen it up a little bit, sprinkle the rest, and then I will just shake it off. And and then I'll get rid of the excess. But from there, I've got this black flocking that fills in any of that stickiness. From there, I am going to measure out my tape. I'm going to make sure that I'm cutting long strips and not the shorter strips. And I started by measuring, for the fabric one, I'm measuring 1 inch lines side to side. And then you can see I'm going to go ahead and draw the lines down. For the paper ones, I did 1/2 inch lines. So you'll see how I did that in just a second. And I'm just going to cut them down. I did try to cut some of it with my guillotine cutter, but y'all, honestly, that made my guillotine blade really sticky, so I don't recommend it. Just use some scissors and go for it, because this stuff has some real stick to it. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to mark the 1 inch lines and then mark the 1/2 inch lines, and do the same thing I did with the fabric there a second ago. And you can see I'm going to take my scissors and cut these long strips. Now, you're more than welcome to cut the shorter strips, but it's going to be just a little bit extra work if you cut, the other way. So if I had gone from side to side instead of up and down. Does that make sense? To do these strips to make my tape. So I'm going to do that on all 3 of my altered surfaces, the scrappy one, the copy paper, and as you can see here, the fabric one. So here's the fabric one, and we'll see here in just a second where I've got the other 2 cut down. And I'm going to start with the fabric one because I have less of that one because I cut wider strips. So to make our tape, you're just going to peel up one little section, like 1/4 of an inch or so, and working it face down like this, stick one of your other strips down. So again, peel it up if you can. I I did not have very good fingernails on this day and had to work it just a little bit. Peel it up, make sure everything's face down, stick it down, and then that little flap you can either cut off. I just fold it over. So yeah, and I'm going to work through, I've sped this up a little bit because it is kind of boring, but I'm just peeling up and sticking down, and then peeling up and sticking down. And then once I have it all, you can see I've got my whole strip here. I'm going to just start rolling it into a roll of tape. So I'm going to roll this whole thing up. I'm going to let y'all see. I know you understand rolling, but I just want you to see. I do clip this when I get to it because it needs time to kind of get into that roll shape. I'm going to clip it with a clothespin. It's one of my favorite tools in my craft room is a silly little clothespin. They're great for vices or holding things together or holding pages down or whatever. And in this case, yep. So it took, and you can see that one piece of paper made this really long strip of tape, we can call it washi tape, I suppose, but I'm going to show you here how I hang it with the paper also. So I'll peel it up and I'm going to stick it down and peel it up and stick it down. Now I do advise if you want to leave a little bit of overlap that isn't on the sticker, it definitely makes it easier to peel that up when it comes time to stick these together, but then you do have that little bit that's not all adhered. So I'm going to roll this one up. Yeah, I kept some of this in so you could see this one was super, well, actually both of the paper ones, because I did them at 1/2 inch, end up being really, really long. So I probably should have sped this up some more, but this gives you a look at how that paper looks all the way around. You can see all the different designs we got because we kept it just kind of organic and random. You can see my hands got tired from the rolling. I did get some of the inks on my thumb as I rolled it because it's, you know, some of that is like distress sprays and things like that. And then here is the last one. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit more, but I did want you to see that, you know, this is a pretty easy process of just peeling and sticking, and you're making this long thing. I did try to roll some of these on spools, but I wasn't super successful with that, so I don't have any tips yet on that. But now I have 3 rolls of washi tape that are completely unique and customized. I'm going to show you how I use them right now. I had the best time using my homemade washi tapes in this Grafix Mixed Media Journal. So this is the Mixed Media Journal. The cover looks just like this. It is the chipboard, and I altered it to look like this on the cover. I used some of the fabric tape here along the edge. If you want to see the process for this and the page that I made, you can go check out my channel, Crafty Hope, and I'll have the process there. It was kind of long because I let myself really kind of play with it, but so that's how I used the fabric there. And I love that I've got like these strings and everything that are kind of coming off of the fabric one. Oh, I love it. I love it. On the inside here, I created a pocket. The Duralar pages in here, this is some of the black Duralar here, and this is some of the matte Duralar. I cut it down and use the excess up here to make a tag that goes in the pocket, and the pocket is attached with the washi here. Yeah. So that was super fun to do. That was this washi that we did with the single sheet of copy paper is that washi. I also used it on my tag here to back my sentiment there. I used my scrappy tape here on the actual page. You can kind of see there's some of that waste with the flocking that's on it. So yeah, I had so much fun using those tapes, and I have, y'all, it made so much. That's just a sheet and a half of that double tack. So that was super fun. Like I said, you can go watch the process for both of these over on my channel, but I encourage you, most importantly, to go check out the grafixarts.com website to see all of their products, along with more ideas on how you can use the double tack mounting tape and anything else they've got. There are links to videos and all kinds of inspiration there. So Thank you so much for coming by and watching this. Make sure you give a thumbs up and all of that good stuff. And I will see y'all later. Bye.